creating a news agenda that reflects an unbiased view of Asian current affairs without relying on external news sources. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.
Hello and welcome to AVN, your weekly roundup of the news from around the globe. I am Abdullah Ahil, your host for the evening. A tiny lizard that's only found in the Canberra region is in a fight for survival with its population declining dramatically. But an ambitious new plan is underway to save the unique reptile from extinction. Monte Bovel reports.
A small lizard facing a big challenge.
This species is in quite bad shape. It's arguably the most endangered reptile species in Australia.
Listed as critically endangered, the Canberra grassland earless dragon is on the brink of extinction.
Habitat fragmentation and loss is easily the biggest problem that this species faces. The fragmentation of the habitat has resulted in fragmented populations that are...
The species doesn't become extinct, and a new investment of $4.5 million from the ACT government to expand captive breeding programs is hoping to turn the lizard's fortunes around.
So what the breeding program here does is make sure that we continue to diversify the genetics of the species, and we can reintroduce different DNA back into our wild populations to make sure that they stay healthy and continue to grow.
The money will flow to programs being run in the ACT, as well as to expand a breeding colony at Melbourne Zoo.
We'll be able to increase our housing capacity within the conservation breeding program and ultimately provide viable insurance populations for the species into the future.
The fight for the lizard has recently been drawn into the public's focus.
And the dragon we love is under attack. What do we do?
As environmentalists express concerns, the construction of a new road at Canberra Airport cuts straight through the dragon's habitat. Earlier this year, the airport agreed to suspend work on a section of the project until a decision on its impact on the habitat had been made. The Federal Environment Department says it's finalising its recommendations.
In the future, we'll start looking at how we can do more habitat restoration. As we have more dragons, we'll need more space to release them into.
It will be quite a job to get it off the endangered species list. This funding gives it a red-hot chance at that.
Hopes this species can be pulled back from the brink of extinction. Monty Bovel, ABC News, Canberra.
In Mumbai, Krafton shines at Waves 2025 as it showcases game titles developed by Indian studios.
India's gaming industry is poised for a big leap, and to talk about that, I have with me the CEO of Krafton, Sean here, popularly known for the brand BGMI. BGMI is very famous in India, and you guys are actually leading from front when it comes to online gaming. How do you see India's this particular sector growing in the next few years, and how Krafton is going to lead from that?
Definitely, Indian gaming market is growing. It's one of the fastest growing market in the world. In other countries or globally, gaming industry grows maybe 3, 4, 5% per year. But India, it grows 15 to 20% every year. So, which is a very big opportunity for us, and that's why we have established our presence here.
Waves is a huge opportunity for all the players, big gunners, small players to come under one roof. How does it feel being here? How's the energy here?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, one of the first events that we are seeing in this scale, especially with the government's full support and the leadership support. So I think it feels very different and very motivated.
Can you tell us more about the Garuda platform? Garuda Saga. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, Garuda Saga is one of the games that we brought for early 2024. There is an original version which has a bit of global appeal, but now back then we skinned it into with the Indian mythology. So we introduced that version into India, which worked quite well.
How does it feel to work with India's top minds?
Kiki is a Krafton India Gaming Incubator program. We incubated for independent indie game developers in India last year. Now we are starting another incubation with 6 different studios. I feel that it's very fulfilling and very motivated to work with them because they are learning very quickly. I mean, obviously they are not very experienced. It's maybe their first game or second game. They are very small team, 5 people, 6 people, 7 people. But through our incubation, they get financial support and mentorship from our global veteran developers. I can see that they are growing really, really fast. So I believe that they will maybe come up with a very good polished game in the next 6 months or 12 months.
Do we see something big coming from BGMI, from Krafton, when it comes to in the next few days, when it comes to gaming portal, anything, any sort of an institute where you guys can have more Indians working with you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like obviously we have a few products in pipeline. So we haven't announced it, so we cannot really name the specific game, but there are a couple of games we want to launch for Indian market in this year.
That's Sean, the CEO of Krafton, betting big on Indian market and saying that this is a place which is growing faster than the rest of the world. With Person Ashish, this is Tapash Bhattacharya for GT India from Mumbai.
As new and expecting dads navigate the complex journey to fatherhood, a growing number are turning to a helpline to access support for perinatal mental health. 4WEN is a national service experiencing a growing number of calls from men since it launched more than 3 years ago.
For as long as he can remember, Lachlan knew he wanted to be a dad.
When she got there, the fire was out.
But in the weeks after his son was born, the stress of the situation saw his mental health decline.
I was in fight or flight mode and that there was no real end to what was happening for me.
He was referred to 4WEN.
You've got the 4WEN helpline. You're speaking with Erin. How can I help?
A national helpline connecting new and expecting parents with local support.
I think I was familiar with postnatal depression within mothers in particular. I'd never really heard that term used for fathers or secondary carers before.
Oh, that sounds really tough.
The service has had an influx of callers since it launched just over 3 years ago, especially among men.
It can be really hard for men to reach out for support, and particularly in the perinatal period where they might see their needs as secondary to their partners, so they kind of take a bit of a back role.
The team will often call parents back to check on their well-being.
Struggling in terms of relationship.
At one of the busiest points in their life.
If dads don't reach out for support.
A lot of men are probably under the impression that this is an amazing time and being a new father is this incredible experience, and then the baby arrives and they don't feel that.
He says withdrawing from everyday activities and changes to diet and sleep are among the early warning signs.
Postnatal depression in men is a bit of an abstract concept that people just haven't really thought of up until the point that they're experiencing it.
About 1 in 10 Australian men experience mental health symptoms during the pregnancy phase or within their child's first 12 months. And with more services available, it means seeking help has never been easier.
And that phone call proceeded to change my life and our lives in a positive way.
Costa Haratos, ABC News.
In a bid to further promote government initiatives to develop the local low-altitude economy, Cyberport is hosting a 2-day exhibition unveiling cutting-edge drone technology.
The opening ceremony was held today, with Cyberport's 2-day low-altitude economy exhibition featuring 12 exhibitors showcasing innovative applications of the LAE sector. Several industry experts and representatives shared ideas and topics such as LAE's application and relevance in the city, as well as displaying pilot projects, including SF Express's drone medical delivery and adverse weather-resistant drones. Lawmaker Elizabeth Quat, who participated in the gala today, noted some of the latest developments in the loosening of restrictions on the use of drones to facilitate the rise of the LAE sector in Hong Kong. She also shared future plans for the government's LAE regulatory sandbox pilot scheme.
About the law amendment of LAE, I believe the government will submit the law amendment proposal to LegCo by the end of this month. Will release the weight restriction to 150 kg and also allow drones flight with people. After the law amendment, or even before the law amendment completes, we believe the government will allow the second phase of the sandbox submission.
During the afternoon, a workshop on low-altitude economy was organized by the Working Group on Developing the Low-Altitude Economy and Cyberport, focusing on the latest technological research and development of the sector in Hong Kong. There, representatives from the Transport and Logistics Bureau, Civil Aviation Department and Lands Department shared their insights on how to bring about the aerial economic trend in the city.
To help improve the connection between Hong Kong and the rest of the Greater Bay Area cities, unmanned aerial vehicles such as this model by Mainland Company have been developed to provide cutting-edge cross-border transport and offer a relaxed aerial cruise. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
A proposed sand mine on Perth's southern fringe has prompted community concern, with local council weighing up environmental impacts against the need for construction resources. Sand is a crucial resource for new builds in Perth, and mining experts say the demand will continue to grow.
Underneath this Banksy woodland lies a dormant sand deposit. These plots of land down the Swan Coastal Plain, the backdrop of debate happening in local communities across Australia. Environment versus development.
We came out here to be amongst the nature and the bush, and we don't want to cut it down.
The proposed Albury sand quarry is only a couple hundred metres away from Mr Morrow's home.
There's silica sand in here, so the dust is already pretty bad out here. You know, we can live with that, but when you're mining it and digging it up, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Plans to mine the site have been bubbling away for decades. Development was approved after mediation by the State Administrative Tribunal in 2015, but Heidelberg Materials were forced to apply for an amendment to a clearing permit late last year. That move allowing the local shire of Serpentine and Jarrahdale to veto the approval.
We understand that development needs to happen. However, there needs to be consideration for what we're passing on to our future generations. And that's got to be based on the information that we have available to us now.
The Department of Water and Resources is now assessing Heidelberg's application. It can't commit to a timeframe on a decision as it is still waiting for more information.
Some mining experts say the lack of available sand is impacting new builds in Perth South.
We can get to a lower resource impact future, but we're not going to do that tomorrow, and we've got people who need houses today.
In a statement, Heidelberg Materials say the sand quarry provides a vital local resource for residential construction at a time when demand is high and sand available locally is low. The company said it's committed to an environmentally responsible approach and restoring and offsetting the impact. But not everyone is convinced, concerned the project will adversely affect the habitat of the Carnaby black cockatoo.
I think, companies might have the very best intentions and reality is often very different. It's death by 1,000 cuts. We can't keep clearing at this rate and we can't rehabilitate.
For now, the fate of this native bushland and the sand deposit beneath remains uncertain. Ruby Littler, ABC News.
What started as a lunchtime jump rope fundraising program at a Bundaberg school has grown into a competitive skipping squad. Now, 3 pupils have been selected to represent Australia at the upcoming World Championships in Japan.
It requires speed, strength and laser-like focus. This is not your average schoolyard jump rope.
Unless you've seen it, nobody understands.
James picked up a rope for the first time 3 years ago when he arrived in Queensland from South Africa.
I couldn't even skip once and I kept on tripping up and then suddenly I got one.
The Year 7 student quickly took to the sport and is now one of 3 at his Bundaberg school selected to represent Australia in Japan at the World Jump Rope Championships in July.
It's quite nerve-wracking considering that the best in the world are going to be there, but I think we're going to do well.
I don't know where it comes from, but every single child in that school is just extremely talented.
The Save League skipping program has been so successful, the school was able to lobby Skipping Australia to bring the state championships to Bundaberg.
The first time the event has been held in a regional area.
Outside of the fierce competition, the sport is encouraging more students to get active and breeding close friendships.
It's just really an easy activity that you can implement and have some fun with your kids and bring a little bit of physical activity back into your life, which is awesome.
Nikki Sorbello, ABC News, Bundaberg.
Until the first half of the 20th century, uranium was mixed with glass to create a green tinge and making it glow under ultraviolet light. Decades later, a growing number of collectors are on the hunt for the glowing antiques.
It may look like your average glassware display, but under a UV light, Veronica Farina's collection has a radioactive glow.
I guess it becomes kind of addictive.
Yeah.
Any collection does, doesn't it?
After being gifted her first piece of uranium glass by her son, Ms. Farina was hooked.
I think it's the novelty of it. People ask me what my favourite colour is, and I go, my favourite colour is sparkle. So it's not glitter, but when you light it up, it does kind of sparkle.
Beginning in the 1800s, low levels of uranium were often mixed with glass and ceramics as a colouring agent. The practice ended during World War II when uranium became scarce.
After that, it just became more trouble than it was worth to try to get uranium, so they found other alternatives for colouring the glass.
The rare antiques are now prized among some collectors.
I regularly have people coming into the shop now, and you can see them sort of very sneakily pulling out their blacklight and going through the cabinets. And I say to them, I am more than happy for you to scan everything in the shop.
Despite the radioactive appearance, experts say uranium glassware is generally safe to display and poses minimal health risk. Still, it's probably best to leave the antiques on the shelf.
You probably don't want to be using them functionally, so I wouldn't be drinking out of uranium glasses necessarily.
Collecting the glowing glassware has now become a Cameron Simmons, ABC News, Townsville.
Vaccine platforms against flu viruses.
The School of Public Health at the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Hong Kong, in collaboration with the Center for Immunology and Infection, has developed technology for two pioneering needle-free flu vaccines. One of the two new approaches involved inserting a human gene into the genome of a human flu virus. That can prompt infected host cells to produce antibodies to recognize cells infected by the vaccine and enhance immune responses. It can also induce broad protection against various influenza A subtypes, including human H1N1 and H3N2 and avian H5N1 strains. Another new approach introduced hundreds of silent mutations to a human flu virus, shifting the codon usage from a human flu virus to that of an avian flu virus pattern. The method has proven to weaken the virus reproduction rate with year-long protection among lab mice. Traditional seasonal flu vaccines target 3 selected virus strains and require annual updates. If circulating viruses differ from vaccine strains, effectiveness can significantly decrease. The vaccines developed from the new technology are said to be able to address such virus mismatch.
If they have a mutation, that may make the commercial vaccines less effective in a sense. So this is one of the problems of the seasonal influenza vaccines. And the second problem is these vaccines are designed for controlling seasonal influenza viruses only. So if you talk about animal influenza virus, like the pandemic H1N1 in 2009, which is swine influenza virus. That vaccines, at that time, the commercial vaccine would not be useful.
Delivered intranasally, the needle-free method activates immunity along the upper and lower respiratory tract, offering stronger protection and easing vaccine hesitancy, especially among children. Looking ahead, the HKU research team hopes to merge the two novel vaccine platforms into one, laying the foundation for the next generation flu vaccine for more public use. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The cost of living is front of mind for millions of Australians. For many, juggling household expenses can mean weighing up whether or not to go hungry. New data shows a surge in people seeking food relief from charities for the first time, and services can keep up with demand. Lily Nuthling reports.
Autumn afternoons outdoors are a routine for Skylee Taylor and her kids. The fresh air offering some breathing room.
1, 2, 3.
In a cost of living crisis.
Taking my daughter to the park, just think that's the only thing at the moment that doesn't cost money.
The burden of household expenses weighs heavily on the 24-year-old Canberra mum.
I was scraping by to feed everyone. I think I probably would have been in hospital from being malnourished myself, putting all the kids first and not feeding myself. So yeah, scary place to actually think of.
Last year, she started looking after her younger sisters, but extra mouths brought extra costs. She turned to local food pantries to get by.
It was hard to reach out for the help. I felt like I couldn't do it on my own, which isn't a great feeling, being a mum and a sister.
As families feel the squeeze, so too do frontline services.
Are you on the list? Otherwise, write your name.
Just over the ACT border, crowds queue each week at this Queanbeyan Community Centre to get their hands on donated groceries.
Just one lot of meat.
Hot meals are also in hot demand.
In the last 18 months, with the housing crisis, but also with the cost of living, we are finding there are people that we wouldn't have necessarily seen beforehand.
New figures from food rescue organisation OzHarvest shows 77% of charities around Australia have experienced a surge in people seeking food in the past year.
Families are having to make decisions as to whether to pay the rent, pay the electricity or feed the family.
The OzHarvest data paints a bleak picture of the cost of living crisis in the nation's capital. Of those seeking food relief around Canberra, 37% are doing so for the first time. It's the highest rate of anywhere in the country, and the new faces are taking charities by surprise.
It's people who have mortgages, it's people who have double incomes, and so I think in Canberra the general wealth that we experience here often means that we don't notice this layer of need in our community.
Charities say the sector needs more funding to fight food insecurity.
Thanks so much, mate.
But addressing underlying causes of poverty will take bold solutions.
Considering we're supposed to be the lucky country, for a lot of families it doesn't feel that lucky.
Canberrans falling through the cracks, hungry for change. Lily Nothling, ABC News, Canberra.
It's considered the dirtiest race in the country, and this year's Kamfari endurance event has once again delivered on its promise of rough mud fun. 150 of the Northern Territory's toughest petrol heads have given it their all in the 4-hour wet season enduro, with the course claiming its share of riders in their quest for victory.
Lining up to face a brutal 4-hour test of mental and mechanical fortitude.
It's a 100% new track this year, so no one along this line has anticipated and seen what's ahead of us.
For a crowd of hundreds, Kamfari is a chance for the North's mud-loving revheads to come together in celebration of the end of the wet season. Digging deep to escape a grueling quagmire, riders battle heat, obstacles and back-breaking work to save their bikes from the swamp.
We've seen people hit trees, we've seen people get bogged, so many people vomiting.
While many stay high and dry, brave spectators join in the drudgery, wading in to lend a helping hand.
This is a pretty good mud section, eh? This is definitely going to test me out. This is only the second lap. Imagine what it's going to be like in 4 hours.
The conditions at this year's race have broken up the pack, with some favourites still yet to complete their first lap 1 hour in. Kamfari is truly living up to its reputation as the Northern Territory's muddiest test of endurance.
We've chosen this area because the Kamfari is an iconic mud plains, floodplains mud race. So we want the guys to struggle. We want our quad racers and our bike racers to actually prove their skills.
An enduro racer herself, Vice President of the organising club, Wendy Hogarth, says the dynamic race format keeps men and women coming back year after year.
The good thing about an enduro, even if it's on a shorter track, every time that you go for another lap, the track's changed. You know, people have ridden over it, so there's rocks are different, things look different.
A legacy going back to 1972. For over 50 years, the CAT is to the limit and drawing loyal.
A bit of mud that was always there.
The test of mind and machine, no match for winner Daniel McInnes, his first victory in over 10 years.
Definitely proud of it. It's a tough race, and I'm just glad to be a winner again.
Just finishing this race at all is...
That's the weekly roundup we have for today's news. We'll be back with any further update. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Creating a news agenda that reflects an unbiased view of Asian current affairs without relying on external news sources. Asia Vision, Asian news through Asian eyes.